with all of that said, from the Inspector General report, the blowback has been enormous, right? The blowback has been very strong. So President Trump this morning, he had a bunch of tweets on the IG report. He waited all day yesterday and did not tweet about it. And that's how you knew that it was going to be lit when President Trump decided that he was going to go on Twitter and go after it. So he really started tweeting up a storm this morning. He tweeted out, FBI agent Peter Strzok, who headed the Clinton and Russia investigations, texted to his lover Lisa Page in the IG report that will stop candidate Trump from becoming president. Doesn't get any lower than that. True. He says the IG report is a total disaster for Comey, his minions, and sadly the FBI. Comey will now officially go down as the worst leader by far in the history of the FBI. Well, there have been some bad leaders in the history of the FBI, but he will be one of the worst, certainly. I did a great service to the people in firing him. True. Good instinct. You gotta love the President Trump pats himself on the back. Christopher Wray will proudly bring it back. Well, we'll talk about Chris Wray in just a second. We'll talk about Chris Wray in just the head of the FBI and whether he actually is going to bring back the FBI. But President Trump then this morning decided, you know what? Fox and Friends is down on the lawn. My friends over at Fox and Friends, great show. I'm on it. They're over on the lawn. They're on the White House lawn. What if I just pop on down there and just go and talk to my friends? So that's exactly what he did. He popped down there and he said a few things. So he really went after he really went after the FBI, which I think is pretty much appropriate.
I said on the Department of Justice, I would stay uninvolved. Now, I may get involved at some point if it gets worse. I say I'm staying uninvolved. I'm letting this report go through. I did nothing wrong. There was no collusion. There was no obstruction.
Okay, so President Trump says that he's going to let the report say what it says. When he says there was no collusion, there was no obstruction, that's not in the report. So he actually said that the report exonerated him of obstruction. That's not actually true. Now, it is true that I don't think he obstructed. I don't think that there was collusion either, but that's not what this report says. So just to be perfectly exact and objective about this 528-page report, there's nothing in there about the Russia investigation per se. But he is not wrong when he rips into the FBI, clearly. Now, what's hilarious is that the Democrats are suggesting that all of this was actually the FBI attempting to help President Trump. Now, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, she came out yesterday and she said that all of this reaffirms President Trump's suspicions about the FBI, and she is not wrong.
The president was briefed on the IG report earlier today, and it reaffirmed the president's suspicions about Comey's conduct and the political bias among some of the members of the FBI.
Okay, and that there is totally fair. Then the Democrats get involved. So Chuck Schumer says, really what the IG report shows is that Hillary Clinton lost the election because of political bias. Well, if you really believe that Comey lost the election for her at the very end, she didn't lose it because Comey didn't like Hillary Clinton. It turns out that she lost it because Comey liked her too much. And that's the hysterical part, right? Comey had a little dove in his hand, and that dove was the Hillary Clinton campaign. And he was trying to guard it and keep it and pet it and be friendly to it because he knew that one day that dove would fly free and become president. And he wanted that dove to have the strongest wings possible. And so while he was petting it, he just sort of squished it. And then the campaign was dead. He sort of ripped the head off the pigeon there, James Comey by accident. But the Democrats are taking this report in the stupidest possible way, which is they're saying, no, what this shows is the FBI was biased against Hillary Clinton. Yeah, sure.
It was Trump who benefited from all these mistakes. So it hardly reflects deep state or bias against him. At the end of the day, the actions reviewed in this report helped Donald Trump win the election, not the other way around.
Okay, yes, by accident. By accident. That's the great, hilarious irony of all of this. The FBI agents like Strzok were so desperate to stop Trump, they actually made him president. Okay, that's the part that's really hilarious in all of this, and it really is it's really freaking funny. It's really funny. Now, what is not so funny is the fact that this is really bad for the FBI and the DOJ, right? These are institutions that we ought to trust as Americans, but we already knew that the DOJ had become an Obama tool while Obama was president of the United States. And the FBI, I'm not particularly surprised that all of this is coming out. The Hillary investigation was obviously a botchery from the very beginning, and it was botched all the way through. And political bias, obviously, in my opinion, played a part, even though the Inspector General found that it was plausible how they treated the investigation. To say that no political bias came into play, it's like when people say that there's no political bias at university campuses because people aren't overtly discriminating against conservatives. It's like, well, yeah, but why is it that every time something bad happens, it's to a conservative? Well, in this particular election cycle, everything that the FBI did that was bad for someone on purpose was directed at President Trump, and everything good that was directed at someone on purpose was Hillary Clinton, except for that last letter, which, again, it turns out Comey was trying to do something good for Hillary Clinton. He's just an idiot. Right? The stupidity of our public officials cannot be overstated. It is extraordinary. So Comey tweeted about it. Comey then tweeted that he was happy with the IG report. He said, I respect the DOJ IG office, which is why I urge them to do this review. The conclusions are reasonable, even though I disagree with some. People of good faith can see an unprecedented situation differently. I pray no director faces it again. Thanks to the IG's people for hard work. Okay, well, yeah, they said you're a self-aggrandizing idiot who basically destroyed the election cycle. So, yeah, I think that you should probably sit down now. And then Hillary Clinton got involved. She then tweeted out this. She tweeted out, but my emails. Okay, because Kyle Cheney, who's a reporter, he tweeted out that the IG found that Comey had used a personal Gmail account to conduct official U.S. FBI business. And then she wrote, but my emails. So a couple of things about but my emails. Yes, your emails. You've made a private server, and then you stored all this classified information on the private server. Yes, your emails. The whole point of the IG ripping into Comey is that Comey did something wrong, too. But Hillary Clinton, it's everybody else's fault that Hillary Clinton lost the most winnable election in American history. Obviously, the only person to blame is James Comey, so that's pretty extraordinary. Alrighty, so the FBI response to all of this has been lackluster at best. And it's been particularly lackluster because let's make one thing very clear. There's one huge question that has yet to be answered by the DOJ or the FBI. That really crucial text that Strzok sent to Page, the one that says, we'll stop it, meaning we'll stop the Trump campaign, that was not handed over to Congress. It was only handed over to the Inspector General. Why didn't Congress have a right to take a look at that? Why did we not know about that? You want to make something look conspiratorial? Cover it up. Don't hand it over to the American people. Don't hand it over to our elected representatives. Hand it over to the IG instead. That's really suspicious stuff. So anyway, Christopher Wray is the new head of the FBI. He's Trump's head of the FBI. And he gives a presser in which he talks about the future of the FBI. Suffice it to say, I am not sanguine about the future of the FBI.
We accept the findings of the report and the recommendations. We're doing a number of things on that regard. First, we issued a new media policy that's much stricter and much more clear than what had been in place before. Second, we're going to be doing intensive training on exactly those issues, things like the one that you alluded to, that includes contacts with the media. Third, we're going to make painfully clear to everybody that we won't tolerate noncompliance. And then last, I've asked our OPR to take a hard look at whether or not they think the penalties that exist right now are sufficient to deal with that kind of conduct.
Oh, okay, good. So we're going to heighten the penalties and education, re-education of people. It's just like when Starbucks is caught in the middle of a bias situation. They're now going to shut down the barista, shut down the FBI. We're going to re-educate people. They shouldn't leak to the media and be politically biased. Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that. We'll see how that works for you. I am not particularly enthused by the response that we have seen here from Christopher Wray. It's just a big nothing burger full of nothing. And then my favorite part is that Christopher Wray came out and he said that nothing in the report impugns the integrity of the FBI or the workforce. You mean aside from that part where it said that half the FBI agents are being bribed by journalists to talk to them? Or are you talking about the part where 5 different FBI agents were texting to each other about how much they hate Trump and wish that he would die, basically? Which part of that didn't impugn the FBI exactly? Here's Chris Wray.
Nothing in this report impugns the integrity of our workforce as a whole or the FBI as an institution.
Oh, is that it? Okay, well, I guess that solves everything. I mean, if I'd only known that Chris Wray was going to respond this way, I feel so much better about everything now that Chris Wray has intervened. Look, what we have here is a typical government agency. I don't want to suggest that there's a giant conspiracy going on, that there were a bunch of agents in a room together deciding how do we stop Trump or anything like that. What you have here is a soft bias that manifests itself in particular decision-making. And this was true with the IRS when Obama was president. It is true with regard to Hollywood, for example. It's why all of Hollywood's material is left, because you have a bunch of people who agree on stuff. And it's an echo chamber. And this impacts decision-making. Political bias does not actually have to manifest itself in obvious political decision-making. Sometimes it manifests itself in bias in action that is eminently obvious to anyone who's observing. So when you look at the media, and it turns out that every story they get wrong is anti-Trump, maybe they're not getting the stories wrong on purpose many of these times, but you have to start saying, well, maybe the reason they're getting these stories wrong all the time about Trump, but they never got a story wrong about Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama, or at least not nearly as often, maybe the reason is because they like Hillary and they liked Obama. And so even unconsciously, they're more likely to believe things that are bad about Trump than they are likely to believe things that are bad about Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama. Right? I think the same sort of logic plays into what the FBI was doing here. You have a ton of FBI agents who hated Trump and who are in top positions and saw stopping Trump as a priority. Does that mean that there was an actual plan that was snapped into place at the first available opportunity? We don't know. Maybe there was. I mean, we'll find out when the Inspector General report comes out on the Russia investigation, presumably. But was there a motive? Sure. And was there an opportunity? Sure. And was there a means? Turns out, yes. They just botched the job. Okay, if it was a hit on Trump, it was an attempted hit because obviously it didn't succeed. It's a damning report. It's a damning report, and the FBI is going to need a thorough cleaning from top to bottom. But I'm not sure how you clean any major agency, is the truth. And unless you set up a bunch of checks and balances internally, I'm not sure. Maybe you have somebody whose sole job it is to check all of the agents' text messages to make sure that they're not using their phones for this sort of communication. Whatever it is, something has to be done to check and balance this branch of government because it's just out of control. It's really out of control.